to The Burn. Gaming stuff, blazing fast.
Welcome to another episode of The Burn, a podcast about gaming done blazing fast. I am Aviv Manoach.
And I am Omer Kaplan. Hey, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. What's up?
Better. Had a mild case of the flu, but we are...
Your whole family has stricken by coronavirus.
Oh my God, it was the plague. It started with my kids, went into the adult part of the house. It was crazy. If anybody, I told you this offline, but if anybody comes to you and say, oh, the flu isn't that, much rough of a thing, send them to me. I'll tell them all about it. It's pretty intense. And
Yeah.
we got the shots and everything, but didn't do us any good.
Because as we all know, and maybe our audience also knows, the flu vaccine is about 50% effective because there are many variations of flu, and we don't always know which ones to hit. So sometimes you can get hit by a version of the flu that you're not vaccinated for, and that's a shame.
Yes.
But that's the best we can do in the moment. Let me ask you, as a medical professional in the field of medicine,
Yeah, don't put me in front of patients, but other than that, yes, I'm ready for any question.
you are working in medtech. That's
Yes.
a thing.
Close enough.
Yeah, how are the vibe in your work about the whole global epidemic thing?
So it's kind of funny because yesterday we got the official CDC kind of like bulletin note about the coronavirus. Right now, nobody's overly, at least in the pediatric world. So we're a pediatric hospital. So at least in the pediatric world, people aren't overly nervous about it. Basically right now they're at a phase that they want to educate all physicians. They want everybody to know what the symptoms are, what to look for. Anytime you go to a physician, you have to answer a quick travel history questionnaire. So pay extra attention to those. But other than that, looks like right now there aren't many cases of the coronavirus with kids. So in the pediatric world, they're just educating people and looking after symptoms, but not doing anything proactive yet.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so for some reason, people that really got heavily affected by the coronavirus are kind of like the older population or other groups, but so far not a lot of pediatric cases. So at least the kids are good in this case. Did I lose you? You still here? Help. Aviv. Ah. Mhm.
I'm stupid. Omer.
איפה אתה? Where are you? איפה אתה?
Yeah, I muted myself so people won't hear me cough, and then I forgot that I muted, and I'm saying it's your computer, it's not mine. So I'm stupid. I will cut all of that in editing.
Okay,
Anyway,
perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
restart. Yes.
what I was saying that I live far away, so we don't get any real panic over the virus and stuff, but I commute once a week to central Israel, and people are out of their mind. Like, there was a woman sitting with a face mask, and no one wanted to sit in the same cubicle as her on the train and stuff like that. Like someone cough and people run away in fear. It's they are hysterical.
That's actually a good tactic. We should do more of those. Just like sit on the train with a face mask on and get the whole seat for yourself. It's great.
Yeah, right. Okay. Anyway, we are not the Disease Cast. We are the Burn, a podcast about gaming. And in each episode of this show, we discuss one game we are playing and really like or dislike, and a current news item we have something to say about. You can get all of the episode on theburn.live, which will get you to the website where you will find the links to subscribe to whatever podcasting application you use, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Google Podcast, or whatever. I also have a Twitch channel, Icel.me, that we don't do this show on because the show is too short, but I do other things on, and now I have proper internet with 1080p capabilities, so nice. I'm going to stream more. Okay. Our game for today is Monster Hunter World, which I will be talking about. Have you ever played a Monster Hunter game, Omer?
I didn't play it on PC. I actually played it on the Switch, and my experience was probably not the one you would expect. I mean, I think the Switch performance wasn't very good, so I didn't enjoy it very much. So I kind of gave up on the whole experience pretty fast. But I mean, I hear from anybody that the experience is great, the monsters are awesome, and if it's any close to what's the name of the other one, the free one?
Dauntless?
Yeah, Dauntless. If it's any close to Dauntless, I can see the fun in it, but I'm pretty impartial about.
Okay, so you haven't played Monster Hunter World on the Switch because it's not available on the Switch. Was I playing Dauntless on the Switch? You may have played Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate on the Switch.
Okay, yeah.
So that's
kind of like that's the mobile adaptation, right?
Something like that. The thing is that traditionally Nintendo owned Monster Hunter. Well, not actually owning it, but for years, Monster Hunter Tri was on the Wii. And I think the fourth one that I don't remember its name was also on a Nintendo console. And Monster Hunter World was the first game in the series to really break to a larger audience and also get to PC. So that's something that previous games in the series didn't have. So, Monster Hunter, what is that? It's a game when you hunt monsters, as the name suggests. And Monster Hunter World is built to be a semi-MMO experience, much like games like Destiny and Warframe and games like that. You can get into a game session with a lot of players and then do missions with up to 4 players in your party. The game progresses through a story campaign, and it has a unique system that I don't believe any other game has, called for ranking. Well, you start the campaign in low rank and you go through the campaign on low rank, and you progress until you get to a specific point in the campaign, in which time you move into high rank. High rank has its own gear, and all the maps can be played in either low or high rank. And of course, high rank has tougher monsters to fight on the same map. Also, some monsters only appear on high rank and so forth. The expansions, Iceborne, that just came out on PC a month ago, adds Master Rank. And from what I hear, all previous Monster Hunter games had the sort of top rank that used to be called G rank, but now it's Monster Rank. And all the expansion content is only available on Monster Rank, but also you can play all the previous content of the game on Monster Rank. So the expansion not only added new things for the game, but it added a whole new challenge rating to previous locations and monsters and that sort of thing. So that's something that I don't believe I haven't seen any other game do anyway. So in Monster Hunter, you fight monsters, and the thing is that all the gear you need to progress through the game is crafted with monster components. So much like in MMO endgame scenario, you need to fight the monsters a couple of times, 4 or 5 times, depends on what you want to build, to get the new gear you need to progress to tougher fights. It's basically a boss rush game, although unlike most other games in that genre, it's a lot less focused on actually surviving the boss for things like Dark Souls and Titan Souls and games on that line. But the each encounter it's a lot more like an MMO boss. Each monster has a hit location and moves they do, and each one of those battles, especially the first time, can take 30 to 40 minutes. You actually have time limits on the quest, so you can't just sit there if you're too low. I don't want to use low rank. If you are too not strong enough, if you're too weak, so you can't just wear the monster off. Even if you can survive it, you may not have enough time to deal enough damage to kill the monster, because the quests the regular quests are 50 minutes time limit, and they're type of quest which only give you 30 minutes to finish the monster. And you can do that if you have strong enough gear, and you are familiar with the maps, and you are familiar with the monsters. So you know the fight, and you can hit the right things and kill the monster quickly enough. You also have quests that require you to kill a couple of monsters during the same period. Granted, those monsters have a bit less hit points, so it's not like taking a regular monster and having you in 50 minutes kill 3 of them. They are a bit easier, but it's still a challenge to go through all of that. And like I said, you can go in a group of up to 4, and if before the expansion, before Iceborne, there were basically 2 difficulty levels to the game: single, solo, and the 4-player party. So the moment you grouped up with another player, the game became a lot more challenging, enough for 4 players. So playing only 2 players or 3 players was really not intended, and was more difficult than it needed to be. But the expansion added difficulty scaling for all types of groups. So you can do a duo, you can do 3 players, and you can do 4 players, and the game will scale appropriately, which is very nice. What else can I say about the game? My experience with it, I have been playing for about 30 hours over the last couple of weeks. I played the game shortly after it came out on... No, not shortly after. A bit after it came out on PC. And I didn't play for a long time. But then when the expansion came out, I wanted to try it again, and it really hooked me up this time. The expansion also added sort of a boosting gear to the game called Defender Gear, which is aimed to let players basically rush through the basic content and get to master level. But I decided that since I didn't experience the base content to begin with, I'm not going to use that. So I'm just going through the game with normal gear and stuff. There are 14 different weapon types in this game. Each of them gives almost a completely unique experience. I use a light bow gun, which makes the game pretty much a run and gun, third-person action shooter, which is kind of nice. You get all those ammo types like piercing ammo and the elemental ammo, and the spread ammo that turns your weapon into a shotgun, and the sticky ammo that explodes, all those kind of things. But there are also slow weapons that makes the game a lot more Dark Souls-like. There is this sword and shield that turns the game into basically regular RPG sword and board. There are dual daggers, which makes the game more like a very high-speed spectacle fighter. There is even a bard weapon called the Hunting Horn, which lets you not only hit the monsters like with a hammer, but also let you play songs to boost your party. Which is pretty cool. Very cool. Yeah. So very much depending on which weapon you use and what's your preferred play style, you can get a very different game. And I tried both the bow and the sword and shield and the light bowgun, and after I tried the other two, I decided to go back to light bowgun because it just seemed to click. I know what I'm doing, I'm consistent with it, it's just the play style for me, which is very nice. The last thing I'll talk about is performance. I had a lot of issues with the game, especially after the expansion came out. The expansion introduced a bunch of bugs into the game, including a bug that deletes people's saves, for example. I wasn't affected by those bugs, but I was affected by performance issues. And basically, I can't play the game right now if I have any other application open at the same time. I can't have my browser open. I hope I could run OBS and stream the game, but I don't know, because currently the game just hogs the CPU of my computer, causing a bottleneck. Basically, if I open the browser at the same time of the game, I can't run it on anything but low settings. But if I don't have anything else open, I can run it on high and get a straight 60 FPS all the time, runs smoothly as butter. So if you have enough resources in your computer, the game runs great. Unlike some games by Ubisoft that doesn't matter how much resources you give them, they're just bad. So yeah, the game can run well. It's just a matter of finding out the sweet spot for your hardware. And of course, it runs better than the console version, although the console version will give you a more what was the word? Consistent, a more consistent experience. The major problem with the console version is loading times, which are very, very long. But on PC, it's just fine. I ran the game on SSD, and it's completely okay. So yeah, Monster Hunter World. If you love action games and if you love it's not really an RPG. It has RPG elements, but the story is not anything to write home about. It's we are going to kill monsters because reasons. I will say that maybe the internet is getting to me, but I started to have feelings toward those monsters. I feel sorry for killing them. They have a very good animation to when you start wearing them down, like the hobble, they will drool, they will be very, very I forgot a word. How do you say miskenim?
It's like it's very like wear down and yeah. It's
Pathetic.
It's something along those lines.
Yeah,
It's like
they just look frail and pathetic, and it touches my heartstring. It plucks on them, and I feel bad for killing the virtual monsters.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Maybe I should give this game another try because my experience was basically we're a bunch of people. There's a big monster that I don't have any particular feelings to, and everybody just like jumps and dodges around the monster and occasionally hitting the monster, but you're literally sitting there for 20 minutes just like rolling and dodging and like hitting the monster, and eventually it dies, and then and that's it, and that's your experience. And I don't know, I didn't feel it like much satisfaction of like killing a huge monster, but it could be a me thing.
I think first of all, it could just be the experience of the game, because the game loop is the same. You go kill a monster, you collect the parts, you build better gear, and you go kill other monsters. But what you are describing is very weapon-based. There are weapons like the sword and shield, and the gun lance, and the lance itself that are a lot more defensive, and they allow you to just stand there and take the beating from the monster without having to dodge around. Also, with a long-distance weapon like the bow guns, both light and heavy, you can stand from afar, let either your party members or the Palico tank for you, and just shoot the monsters from your position. So the play style change a lot depending on the weapon you use.
Okay, well, maybe I'll give it another shot. I still have it on the Switch, the Generations version, so maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe
I
it's
can't
nice
say
on a bigger screen.
Maybe. I can't say anything about the generations, whatever. I don't know the weapons they have there. I don't know anything.
Okay.
But you can also give Dauntless on Switch another try after they patch it up a bit. And unlike other Nintendo games on the Switch, you don't need to buy the Nintendo Online whatever to play it, which is cool.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
That was the game we're talking our game topic, and we'll now discuss news. What do you have for us?
All right, I have something cool for news, but first a quick shout out. Dead Cells have a DLC. I am over the moon excited. I had a really amazing experience with the first. I think it was my last year's game of the year, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I cannot wait until I play this game. It's super amazing. So that's my quick shout out. So let's talk about. Are you excited about Dead Cells?
Yeah, I love the game. I don't know if I'll come back to it with the DLC.
It's well, yeah. I don't know. It's still like high on my to playlist, but I still have like stuff like Children of Morta. I still haven't played. There's a lot of like stuff I need to play before that.
Also, Children of Morta also getting a DLC.
Well, no, I need to play the base, but yeah, it's good. But this week I've been mostly playing, by the way, The Witcher 3's expansions, which I haven't played so far, and I'm having a great time. And I added a bunch of mods to the game, which makes it more exciting. I have like a robe and a hood now, which makes the game super amazing. Anyway, yeah, so mods are great. So for news, let's talk about a game we haven't talked about in a really long time. That's called Anthem. So Anthem,
just to make the point, all games are games we haven't talked about because we are in episode 6.
Right. No, but we have a long history together. We've done some Heroes of the Storm stuff. We've done some Burning Game stuff. But Anthem, so we talk about Anthem the week it came out on the Hebrew podcast.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it back then.
Me
It had
too.
some performance. It had some performance issues I didn't experience, by the way. Flying felt great. The overall universe and everything was super great. I was playing a lot
Technically
of
and gameplay wise, it was a great game. BioWare got flack for nothing.
No, I mean, here's the thing. I was playing a lot of Destiny at the time, so I had some good source of comparison. I think combat wasn't as exciting. I think they had some really cool stuff they did there that they could lean more heavily into. Like they limited flying, which I didn't really understand why. And like they really want your boots on the ground experience in the world, but flying was so satisfying, especially when playing this robot dude thing or a mech or half mech or whatever that is. And so they got a lot of flack for it. I think it had more potential than they kind of like displayed initially. Anyway, this week they published a blog post where they're saying, hey, we're not abandoning the game, which, by the way, I totally thought they would just abandon the game and just patch it and doing some technical stuff. But
that's because about 2 weeks after release, EA announced that they are pulling the team from the game. So that's why we thought that.
Yes, so that too. And then, they have so much sunken cost in the game. They have been working on it for 7 years. So right now they're saying, hey, we're not abandoning the game. We're going back to the basics. We're going to look at the core experience, make it better. So they haven't said anything specific. They haven't even given a date. But it gives me hope. I really, really like playing the robot thingies. And I think
it's
combat
people in power armor. That's all of it.
Yes. Yeah, but it felt good, and there's like the ultimates or the power.
It's very good.
Power moves felt great, and like it had. I think this game had one of the best. First of all, the world design was amazing. Like the combination of nature and technology. It's not new, but they really made it work. And then I think the sound design was one of the nicer things I experienced back in the day. Having all those like hydraulics and mechanics as the power armor and running and flying felt great. So I have high hopes. I'm willing to give this game another try when it comes out. They talked about the technical stuff that made the game laggy and load times and all those issues. So I'm hopeful, and BioWare, still have reputation in my book. So I'm hopeful.
I have zero regard to BioWare, but I have zero regards to a lot of the old guard companies like Blizzard is shit now and stuff like that.
It's funny. I was about to say I really want to hear your opinion about Warcraft 3, but yeah, then you have it. So.
My opinion is that I didn't care about Reforged to begin with. I don't think we need another version of Warcraft 3. I didn't care for it. I didn't buy it. And I'm not really surprised the shit the bed with it. That's my opinion.
A remaster is a remaster. It's not a new game. I get it.
Let's be honest. They sold something else. And
yes,
they didn't deliver.
I think that's the major thing. They promised one thing, they delivered something else. But other than that, it's basically StarCraft. I mean, we played StarCraft Remastered, so
another thing I didn't care about. Instead of StarCraft Remaster, I played Total Recall for StarCraft 2, which was better.
That's nice.
Anyway, regarding Anthem, I'll tell you one thing. I'm okay with leaving the game technically as it is. They patched it and stuff. Bring a writing team. Make an actual campaign with story and not just 2 words connecting locations. That was my biggest annoyance with Anthem. That they didn't have content. it was the beginning was amazing. It has so much promise, and then
the prologue was amazing.
Yeah, the prologue was amazing. Even the start of the first act or whatever was very promising. And then when you get to the open world quest, when you have to do a bunch of meaningless tasks to progress, there was nothing else. The game just got to a halt, and we didn't get anything meaningful out of it. And that's my biggest problem with Anthem. And if they get a group of writers and they do like a 20, 30 hour proper story out of it, because they have a lot to work with, they created a great world to work with, I'll be okay with it. I don't need them to add more stuff. I don't need them to change the gameplay. I just need them to put in content. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing they have to fix, I don't know if you remember, but when you go into this like first city or whatever, there's a guy there that's leaning against the wall, and basically all they do once you talk to him, they basically zoom in on his face and he talk to you, but he's literally like leaning against the wall the entire game. It's like, I don't know, it drove me crazy. This guy is gonna have like a muscle cramp or something.
I haven't noticed, but okay.
Yeah. And it's one, it's just like, he's a cool guy. He's just like leaning against the wall, like with his legs crossed and everything. It's just like the entire game. He doesn't move. Just like when you come and talk to him, you just like zoom in on his face and he talks to you while leaning against the wall, and he does it the entire game, and it drove me crazy. So I don't know.
Okay.
It's the small things.
Indeed. That's all we have for the show today. Thank you all for listening, and thank you, Omer, for being here with me. It was a pleasure.
As always.
Indeed. You can find us online on Twitter. I'm Icel, and he is Omer Kaplan. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, comment, and leave your reviews on your preferred listening app, which you can find at theburn.live. Our theme music was created by Ann Dorco, and with vocals by Fishy Twitch, both also on Twitter. And we will be with you next time. Thank you and goodbye.
Yeah.